which you're going to hear a lot more about his life and his objectives and his contributions to Kiwanis and to the wider society, and also Kiwanian Ray J. Thompson, who recently joined our club but is no stranger to Kiwanis, has been very active in CKI, and Ray J is very, very committed to making a difference, and you're going to learn a lot about him, not just his Kiwanis journey, but also his personal and his professional journey. And we look forward to his presentation later on in the up close and personal. Always fascinating, always interesting. You meet people, you interact with them, but you have sometimes no idea of their story. We see the glory, but we don't know the stories. So we're looking forward to the stories this evening with both Carlo and Ray J later on. But you'll hear a formal introduction and more later on as we go in with the program. So as usual, your club is very active and busy, and especially as we go into the summer months of May, June, and July. I'm just going to share with you quickly some of the activities that are coming up. I'll kind of do it in chronological sequence. First of all, this weekend coming up here, April 25th to the 27th, is the Key Club District Convention being held at the Money Teachers College. So all your key clubbers, as well as mentors and connected parties, please, who are going to be participating, this is April 25th to 27th. Next on the agenda is May 3rd, as some of you may have heard, the Kiwanis International Island-wide Blood Drive begins. The Blood Drive initiative, as you know, the donation of blood is always something that is needed in our healthcare system, and we are going to try and incorporate that with our very own blood collection center, which is up at the National Chest Hospital in Ligonier. You'll hear more details as to how you can participate, and I'm going to encourage all our Kiwanians, if you can donate blood on behalf of Kiwanis or your club, it will be greatly appreciated, and it's all towards a better and a healthier Jamaica at the end of the day. So that's in May. It begins May 3rd. Then we move to June 6th. So I don't think you can see it, but here's the tickets. Put it close to the camera. Our fish fry. So if you're a lover of Hellshire style fish, if you're a lover of crispy pork, if you're a lover of barbecue chicken, our annual charity fish fry and barbecue is coming up. Flavor, feast, and fellowship. If you can see it on the flyer here, please get your tickets from any Kiwanis Club of Kingston member. If you don't have any, please talk also to myself or DLG Willie. Tickets are only $3,000, and you get a sumptuous meal and lots of good fun and fellowship at the same time. It will be held at the usual venue, 11 Fairway Avenue. That's the offices of DP Major Richard Reese, as well. And runs from 11 p.m. till 3 p.m. But obviously there'll be drinks afterwards if you'd like to join us for a fellowship, dominoes and drinks. So that's our fish fry, June 6th. Also, last activity, July 13th, the Kingston Club of Kingston Fun Run at Hope Gardens. Proceeds in aid of the Bustamante Children's Hospital. We're looking for persons to help us with the planning committee. The co-chairman is VP Zuri, as well as Dr. Martina Dyer. So please get in touch with them if you'd like to make a contribution, if you'd like to be part of the planning committee, or even if you plan to walk or run, please talk to them. It's coming up in June, so you can start your training from now. It's going to be a fun activity and towards a worthy cause. So those are the main things that are going on. But of course, stay tuned to our WhatsApp page, our WhatsApp group. Stay tuned to our IG page or Facebook page to find out whatever is going on with the Kingston Club. So those are my opening thoughts. But I do notice that we have quite a few visiting Kiwanians and clubs, and the duty of doing the welcome, the introduction, and of both the members and visiting clubs is no other than VP Zuri, who I think I saw online. So I'm going to hand over to VP, Vice President Zuri, to share and do the official welcome of our guests. and fellow Kiwanians. Over to you, Zuri.
Thank you, President Stephen. Good evening, everyone.
We're seeing you and hearing you. We're seeing
Are you
you.
hearing me?
Yes, we're seeing you. Your head is a little bit chopped off, so just bring the camera up a little. No, the other way.
Which way? This way?
No, the other way.
But I'm looking directly at me, so I'm not sure.
Well, this is my camera. Go ahead. You're fine. We're seeing
Okay.
majority of you.
So I was saying, Lieutenant Governors past, present, and distinguished, Presidents past, present, and distinguished, other Kiwanian officers, Kiwanians, members of our SLP, good evening all, and welcome to the Kiwanis Club of Kingston's weekly meeting. This meeting I am dubbing as a bond building meeting because we get to find out more about our fellow Kiwanians. So we get to strengthen the bond of fellowship and sharing, and we have a better understanding of each other so we know how to work better. So we're improving the synergy this evening. So it is my duty to say welcome to all our visiting clubs. And at this time, I am going to give you the opportunity to bring us greetings. And as usual, I am going to start with any visiting Kiwanis club outside of Jamaica. Do we have any clubs outside of Jamaica online? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Then we will move to Kiwanis clubs in Division 25. Do we have any Kiwanis club in Division 25 online with us this evening? All right, so I'm going to try Division 24. How about Division 23 East? Am I being heard?
You are being heard, but I see Director Crystal from Montego Bay is here, and she made her division pass without her usual greeting. So I'm not sure if she's muted or what, but go ahead. We're hearing you, Zuri. We're hearing you.
You do want a man that loves his family, though, right?
Go ahead, Zuri. You have the floor. But you're muted.
Okay. Division 23 West. Division 23 Central.
Good evening, fellow Kiwanians. This is PVP Mark from Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew. It's our pleasure to be here with you. Looking forward to an interesting meeting. At present, we are 4 in number.
Thank you, PVP Mark, and welcome. And we know that you will have a good time at our meeting.
Good evening, Zuri. This is DP Paulette, Kiwanis Club of Friends Across Borders. On behalf of President Telma, we thank you for the invitation. We're currently 5 in number, and we look forward to an interesting meeting of fellowship.
Welcome to all of you, DP Paulette. We are glad that you could join. And yes, we are also looking forward to the fellowship. Any other Kiwanis club?
Good evening, VP. How are you?
I am good, thank you. President Eurydice.
Okay, wonderful. I am from 23 Central Surrey Online, and at this time we have a delegation of 4 in attendance at your meeting. So thank you so much for the invite, and we look forward to this meeting. Thank you.
You're welcome, and you're always welcome to join us every Tuesday.
Yes, thank you.
Any other Kiwanis clubs online? How about SLPs? Do we have any SLPs joining us this evening? How about guests of Kiwanians? Do we have any guests of Kiwanians joining us online? Well, for all those persons who are online, we are grateful for your company. And we do wish for you a great meeting and a great rest of week. And we know, just learn something fun. So when you see these Kiwanians who will be presenting in person, you know, you can know a name, you have a joke, something about them so you can share and just keep the Kiwani spirit going. Over to you, President Stephen. Thanks again.
Thank you, VP Zuri. Thank you, and thank you. Next on the agenda, we do have apologies for absence, where a few Kiwanians have indicated that they may be late or they are unavoidably absent. We do have apologies from Kiwanian Dr. Andy John Baptiste, from past District Trustee Ralston Nunes, DP Chris Robinson indicated that he may be late, but he intends to be here. And we also have an apology from DP Newton. He's with us online, but he's unable to speak, so I'm going to be filling in for him for the birthdays and anniversaries. DLG Willie, do you have any other apologies that were tendered?
Just to mention Treasurer Bill, who's off island.
Right, yes. Okay, so we know, and that's Orville Lewis. Apologies for him. On that note, let's move to birthdays and anniversaries. So on behalf of DP Newton, there are two Kiwanians, well, one Kiwanian who has a birthday and another Kiwanian and his wife who are having an anniversary this week. So let me make sure that I have it correctly. So the birthday is past chairman Dr. John Soers is having his birthday on the 26th. So 4 days from now, Dr. John, of those who know him very well. And also on the 28th of this month, Kiwanian Von Garwin White and his wife Colleen are going to be having their wedding anniversary. So special wedding anniversary greetings to them, and happy birthday to Dr. John when it comes around. Are there any Kiwanians or guests online who are also having a birthday this week that we can recognize? Any birthdays? Well, even if it's not your birthday, have a positive week and God's blessing to you coming out of the Easter celebration. And it's a good time to be alive and well. So on that note, we're now going to move to, I think I saw IPLG Desmond, Bachelor online, and we're going to ask if, yes, I'm hearing it, Desmond.
Yes, President, I'm here.
All right, go ahead with your Kiwanis education for this week.
Good evening, President. Good evening, fellow Kiwanians, SLP members, and guests. For Kiwanis education, the topic here is membership engagement and retention. Kiwanis membership engagement and retention are crucial to the success of any club. Engaging members means keeping them active and involved in the club's activities, while retention refers to the ability to keep those active members in good standing for the long term, not just existing on the membership roll, whether or not their dues are paid. Effective strategies for both involve creating a positive and rewarding club experience, highlighting the benefits to membership or to members and actively recruiting and nurturing members. On the membership engagement, all the strategies, or some of the strategies, focus on positive experiences. And this would involve engaging members, because engaged members are those who feel valued, who feel supported, and who have a sense of belonging. Detachment or disconnection from the clubs can decrease participation. So we try to build stronger relationship with club members. Offer diverse opportunities. That's the next strategy. We provide opportunities for service, leadership, social interaction, should have to do with fun and fellowship, and personal and professional growth. Thirdly, recognize and appreciate contributions. So we should acknowledge the efforts of active members and celebrate their achievements. Number four, the fourth strategy, ensure meaningful and relevant programs. And this would be meetings, programs, and service projects should be engaging and relevant to members' interest. And their interests would be personal and professional interest, and also to the community needs. Number five, foster a welcoming and inclusive environment. And with this, we create a club culture that is fun, friendly, and encouraging for all members. On the retention, prioritize member satisfaction. And how? Well, address any concerns or issues promptly and effectively. And next, maintain clear communication. This is where club members are informed about club activities, events, and important information. Next, provide continuous support and development. And this is when we offer opportunities for training, mentorship, and leadership development. So these are things that have to look towards the development of our members. Evaluate and improve club experience is another of the strategies. And we're saying that regularly assess members' feedback and make the necessary adjustments to club's positions. This is the structure, whether it be the chairman, officers, the directors' positions, offering them positions as Kiwanis advisors, project chairman, and so on. So make adjustment to the club's structure, programs, and activities. And we're saying regularly survey your club members to gather feedback. Let members feel that their opinions are valued, as they may become disengaged. Lack of acknowledgement can lead to frustration and a diminished sense of belonging. Finally, have a consistent reward and recognition system. Let members know the benefits, what to expect, and continue to see the value at every stage of their membership, as they ascend the ladder and into leadership positions. And that's it for Kiwanis Education, President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my immediate past Lieutenant Governor Desmond. Lots of very insightful thoughts there. I picked up fun and friendly environment. And I encourage our members, or all Kiwanians, to participate in the projects that as they come up, participate in the fundraising activities, in this case, the fish fry, the 3K run, the blood drive, because the more you come out, the more you get to meet fellow Kiwanians, And that's where the fellowship and the fun really starts, by seeing yourself in person. I know we live in a very virtual and online environment, but I'm encouraging you all to come out when we have these various projects or fundraising activities, because that's where you're going to get you're going to make a real difference. You're going to see a real difference and a real major contribution towards our goals and objectives. So with that, thank you again, IPLG Desmond. And I have one more report before we go into our main event. I forgot to mention earlier that we do have an apology from DLG Stan Dunwell, because if he was here, he would now give us the nomination committee's report. I'm just going to read it for everybody's attention in the absence of DLG Stan Dunwell. So first of all, I should take the opportunity to thank DLG Stan and all of the members of the committee for their contribution. They've spent a lot of time, a lot of careful thought in coming up with these nominations. And there have been countless meetings over the past couple of months to come up with the final slate of candidates. And we thank them. I thank them on behalf of the club for their contribution and their efforts in this worthy cause. So as I mentioned before, the nomination committee is chaired by DLG Stan Dunwell, and the members include DP Dalma James, DP Marcel Boyce, DP Stuart Spencer, DLG Willie Reeson, and myself ex officio as president also am a member of that committee. So arising out of those committee meetings, the AGM is scheduled for the 13th of May. That's a few weeks away. And these are the candidates as are being recommended by the nomination committee. First of all, for the position of president, we have Zuri Johnson. For the position of president-elect, we have Arsenio Sawyers. For the position of vice president, we have Dr. Andrew Burton. For the position of secretary, we have William Reeson. For the position of treasurer, we have Gian Delmel. For the position of assistant secretary and treasurer, we have Christopher Anderson. In terms of directors, we have Eric Malcolm, Clive Hines, Dr. Andy John Baptiste, and as returning directors, we have Marcel Boyce, Rupert Whitaker, and Major Richard Rees. And as IPP, you have yours truly. So that's the slate of candidates that we have who you will be voting on at the AGM on the 13th of May. But just to add that our club bylaws does allow nominations from the floor of the AGM. So these are the ones that have been recommended by the nomination committee. But if there are other persons that you want to be considered, you do have an opportunity on the day of the AGM to also put that candidate forward. And as expected, we'll have an election, and the duly appointed winner of the election will be appointed to the position. So congratulations to all of the persons I mentioned there. Thank you for your putting yourself forward, and we look forward to your successful appointment and your contribution to the club. So on that note, that ends the business side of Kiwanis Club of Kingston, and we now reach to our main event, which is going to also feature some of our Kiwanians. And I'm going to hand over to Chairman DP Stuart Spencer to do the introduction of our up close and personal. DP Stu, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
All right, good. Over to you.
Good evening. 1 second. Yes, good evening, President Stephen, and all the Kiwanians and guests. This evening we have, we are revisiting our, segment, a segment of up close and personal, and we have two Kiwanians who will be sharing their stories this afternoon. I'm not gonna spend much time telling you about them because that's what they are going to do. They're going to tell you about themselves. But I'll just tell you who they are, although you may have seen it on the flyer. We're going to have Carlo Mason. I thought he was a current chairman, and you said past chairman, president. I thought he was a current chairman, but I stand corrected if I'm wrong on that. Interestingly about Carlo, I just mentioned this. I think he's the son of another Kiwanian, his father, Lowell Mason, and it's the only father and son member that we have now. I'm trying to remember if we have had that combination before, but he has that unique element about him. And the other person is Ray J. Thompson, who is, well, as I said, it's not for me to tell you much about them because they are going to do that themselves. I just messaged them not too long ago, and I told them that that I'm going to ask Ray J to go first, and Carlo will go second. So Ray J, let's hear what you have to say. We're looking forward to hearing your presentation, and it's all yours. The mic is all yours.
All right.
If you need to be for me to give you sharing, if you want to share your screen, let me know, and I just
No,
you won't need that.
no, I won't. Trust me, I won't.
Okay. All right. So it's up all turned over to you now. Go right
Yes.
ahead.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. All right. So I take on this opportunity to share, my experience from a childhood stage goes straight up to adulthood. As it pertains, I am so I don't even know where to start because there's a whole lot. But growing up as a baby, I have to
Sorry,
start.
are we gonna see you? I'm not sure.
No, I'm currently on the road, but I
Oh,
pulled
all right.
over. I just pulled over to share, so I can do
Okay.
just that.
Okay.
All right. So, growing up as a baby, you have to go through kindergarten, basic school, and so forth. And for me, as a baby, I would cry every single time because I don't want to go to any baby school. I want to go to the big kid school. Like baby school is just not for me. While I'm a baby, that's crazy, I know, but it just wasn't my thing. However, I've passed that stage, went through, did my best and so forth. Move on to primary school is the same thing. I don't want to be there. I want to be at the big school. And upon arriving at the big school, I didn't want it to be at the big school anymore. I was like, no man, this is too much now. This is frustrating. This is really frustrating. I need to go to little baby school. It was so easy. But I pulled my weight and I went through high school successfully. And from high school, I moved over to tertiary education, which is the Micro University College, in which I pursued my teaching degree. I applied for mathematics at Michael. I got accepted for that. However, upon arriving there, I changed my specialty to special education because I've grown so much to love and caring for special needs people around me. I just couldn't see myself doing maths again. So I changed my major from mathematics to special education, and I don't regret it one bit. And now I'm moving to do my Masters of Science in Human Resource and Development starting this year. So wish me luck to that. So that I basically just discuss, my schools basically from basic primary up to university. As it pertains to occupation, I always wanted, to become a doctor or a teacher. However, I pushed more to teaching. But before I started teaching, I was a part-time technician where I fixed computers. I set up point of sale for businesses. Um, And I just decided that I wanted to change. I no longer wanted to do any technician work. And I decided to go in the field of education. I started teaching in 2019 as an assistant teacher for principal of accounts, business basic, human and social biology, and also mathematics at the secondary level. However, I didn't have my degree as yet, and you know, went to university, got the degree. Upon getting the degree, I worked at the School of Windsor Special Education, Woolmer's Prep, Jamaica Association for Children with Learning Disabilities, and now I am currently at the micro practicing primary with special education unit. So that's my history. That's my history throughout education. I like, as it pertains to sports, I like track and field and I love volleyball. However, I have played part in various sports from high school up to university. So I was a part of the rugby team, the basketball team, the cricket team, table tennis. So basically, I've gone through a lot of sports, but if I'm supposed to go back and say I'm going to do something, it would either be track and field or volleyball. But they're all good sports, and I normally do these things in my free time, and just have fun because you have great people that participate in these events, and they make it what it is. Um, what drives me in life to, just to keep things afloat is knowing that there's more to come. This is not it. There are better, things are better, there are things are ahead of you that is just there for you. So just keep it going and know that once you reach to the top, there'll always still be more. So I just keep on going and going. Um, Uh, Basically, I've said a lot. Now to my recreation. Have traveled to the US. I've been to different states. I went to South Virginia and also North Virginia. I went to Washington DC, New York. So I've been to a lot of states, and to tell you the honest truth, all of them, they are very exciting and fun. And being over there, I went to the adventurous park, took on those dangerous rides and so forth. But it wasn't for nothing, I enjoyed it. And the best part about being over there is just walking in the mall and shopping, just buying whatever I like, you know, and trying on new stuffs, try out new foods. It was just so exciting for me being there. Otherwise, from traveling at the States, I haven't traveled to any Caribbean island. I haven't. But if we're talking in Jamaica, I've traveled the whole 14 parishes already. I've experienced what they have to offer. And I say for me, Portland is one of the best parish. They have good beaches. And then you have the Boston Track. It's just perfect for me. Um, The last thing I want to talk about is my experience from Circle K to Kiwane. I know most persons would know some part of it, but just sharing. Um, I started Michael in 2019, and before COVID, I had this friend, and she was like, "You need to be a part of a club." I was like, "No, not yet. I'm doing the sports and whole thing." However, she said that this club is very interesting. You get to go to meet new people, and it is just fun and exciting. And I believe this is something that you'd like to do. And I said, "All right, I can give it a try." Long and behold, I give it a try. Upon giving it a try, I ended up getting Rookie of the Month, like, and Secretary of. It was just so much because to me, I was just enjoying myself and doing what I like, which is giving back, ensuring that others are taken care of. And I'm just giving, I'm just helping, I'm just everywhere, you know, doing what I love. And I met some wonderful people in CK up to this day. The bond is still there. They might not be living in Jamaica, but they're in other country. And I tell you, we connect same way. And I have to, give God thanks for the opportunity of joining Circle K because it opened my network, not just the persons around me are in the same country, but people outside of Jamaica, and I get to learn a lot, so much about their culture and how they go about, the day-to-day basis. So, I'm really glad for, CKI and for the person who even joined me to join CKI. And, I went to CKI with a bang, from VP to distinguished VP, bulletin editor, chairpersons, district chairperson for the LFC, ended up becoming the lieutenant governor of the Paradise Division, ended up with outstanding, and then, finish off. And also in my school year, I was the vice president for clubs and societies, which means I was in charge of all the clubs and societies on campus. And then house captain for Lushington House. And I have bring that house to the top from the starting of 2019 to 2023, which, I've concluded university. And I held first place and second place throughout my tenure. And lastly, joining Kiwani, I was just saying, I'm just going to join Kiwani and I'm just going to go to service project, try and give back. I didn't know that I would be under the opportunity to be the Kiwanis advisor for the Michael University College, taking them to greater place. I never expected that to happen. So I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I'm getting to give back and, just carry them to better places and doing good things with them. I'm just so grateful for all of that. So I'm still looking forward to enjoy myself more as a Kiwanian. There's more to it, and as you guys would say, there's more to come. So I'm just here awaiting all of those excitements, and projects that you guys have in place and so forth. I'm all here for it. So that is it for me tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Reggie. Very interesting. You didn't tell us where you're born, but you said a lot of nice things about Portland. Were you born in Portland?
No, funny enough, I was.
Your sound cut out.
A bit.
Your sound went. Can you say it again?
But majority of my family, they are from St. Elizabeth.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let me ask you this one last thing though, because we don't normally do a Q&A, but I'm just gonna fill in just a few points. When you said your turn as a technician, give us a little idea of some of the skills that you have that you bring with us, that you bring with you, so that maybe we can still make use of. Just give us a little bit of that.
I can always create posters if you guys want. That is a major thing for me. I can create posters. Tech savvy, I can do Microsoft. Anything with Microsoft, I'm good with that. And as I made mention, I can create your posters. I normally do bulletins, but I haven't done that in a while. But I normally do bulletins, I have to create and stuff for it. So if you guys ever want me to, assist you with poster makings or flyers, I can definitely do that for you guys.
Great. I think we could use that. And I just want to say thanks again because I invited you to become a member of the club meetings committee and you willingly accepted. So I'm sure we'll find some work for you there as well. Okay. Thank you very much, Ray J. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Great. I'd like to now let's turn the spotlight on Carlo Mason. So Carlo, it's your time.
Well, a pleasant good evening to everyone. Let me just confirm. Can you all hear me?
Yes, hearing you fine.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll try and keep my thing very simple. My life is a very uncomplicated life. It begins in 1972 when I took advantage of the existence of University Hospital. Actually, I shouldn't say it that way. My parents took advantage of the existence of University Hospital and made sure I was born there. I've had the privilege of living all my life in the corporate area, initially in the area of Augustown. Then we moved to, don't know if anyone is familiar with Tunbridge, which is an area within the Queensboro area. And then in 1977, the family moved to Allardyce Road, which incidentally is where we still are. I'm actually in my sister's old room speaking to you from the same place. So I've lived or had an association with this house for the last almost 50 years. I attended St. Richard's Primary and Campion College. And although it wasn't because of St. Richard's Primary, it was at St. Richard's Primary that I had the privilege of being able to start off with my lifelong association with music. I should tell you I've been a violinist for what is this? 46 years. Still play the violin. My wife actually laughingly refers to my violin as my mistress. Matter of fact, if you were to check my graduating year, the blurb under my graduating photo said he walks around with his violin as if that's a way to pick up girls. And I can tell you from personal experience, it never worked. But that St. Richard's Primary is where I started my lifelong association with music. And of course, church. I think most of us would have had an association with music if one had a strong church upbringing. I'm still a practicing Seventh-day Adventist to this day. And if anyone knows anything about Adventists, music is extremely strong in tradition, in the faith. And I'm no exception. My mother plays the piano and organ, or would play. She's almost 89 now, and sadly the abilities aren't what they used to be, but she can still put together a tune on the piano. My sister plays the flute, and according to my father, whom some of you know, he says the only instrument he plays is the fool, but he actually sings quite well. What I did get from my father was a full appreciation of music from all walks, all genres, so especially jazz. So it was from my father that I learned about people like Dinah Washington and Quincy Jones. I learned about people like the Jacques Lussier Trio and names that I know a lot of Jamaicans are fully unfamiliar with. Some of you might remember names like Brooke Benton and Lou Rawls, Sam Cooke, of course, Marvin Gaye, um, Frankie Beverly, Nat King Cole, to name a few. So music has been a major part of my life for quite a long while. I've had the privilege of playing as part of the Jamaica Philharmonic, and I've actually been part of other groups. So as I said, I went to St. Richard's Primary, went to Campion. I then did a first year at arts faculty here at Mona campus in Jamaica, of course. But from I was age 13, I actually remember it specifically. I was in my mother's car. She was driving me home, 13 years of age. And as we reached by to turn onto Acadia from Barbican Road, I just looked at her and said, Mommy, I want to become a lawyer. Nobody asked me what fly up in my head tell me that, but I guess maybe I'd seen, I don't know if it was Matlock or something. Something just seemed to resonate with being an attorney. And I said, that's what I wanted to do. And when I reached UWI, sadly, it wasn't in the cards for that first year, but I did get into arts faculty. I did 1 year of Spanish. I should interject that between high school and university, I did have the privilege of partaking or participating in um, the student exchange program called AFS. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, American Field Service. And I had the privilege of being able to go and represent Jamaica and live in Venezuela for 1 year. I went to school, I went to music classes. It was a wonderful experience. Venezuela then, even though it was troubled then, it was a beautiful place. You could walk on the street and buy a cachapas and arepa. You could sit down and listen to Willie Colon and Oscar de Leon and Juan Luis Guerra and Cuatro Cuarenta and other groups. The the family setting was rich. I enjoyed myself there. But then came back, finished A levels, went to first year university. And then while I was there in university at Mona, I got the opportunity to get into the law program starting at University of Guyana. That was the first year, which would then allow me to transition over to UWI to finish my degree, because the Guyana program was actually a joint venture between University of the West Indies and University of Guyana, due to the fact that it was so expensive for Guyanese students at the time to go over to UWI to study law. So I got to do that, had the opportunity to live in Guyana and study in Guyana. To this day, I have friends who I was at school with in Guyana. And then we had the privilege of going over to Barbados for my second and third year of law faculty. It was 17 of us from Guyana, 17 Jamaicans from Guyana who went to UWI. And it was a bit of a backdoor thing. It was interesting. We were the first persons on campus that Monday morning, to go and register. And the 17 of us were literally the very last persons to register. because UA did not see it as proper for us to move from Ghana to Barbados. However, we this is what happens when you have people in places of influence. I don't to this day I don't even know who made phone calls, but someone was able to reach to the then Prime Minister PJ Patterson, who, thank goodness, took time out of his busy schedule to have his office call the registrar and inform them that Jamaica would stand the economic cost for all 17 students. And that's how I was able to finish my university degree at Cave Hill campus. I enjoyed myself there, was part of JASAC, Jamaica Association students at Cave Hill. I was part of the Law Society. I then went to Norman Manley Law School. Actually, interesting fact, I had failed one course and had to resit. And because of that, I was unsure if I was getting into law school, and was helping my father with his business at his garment factory business on Cassia Park Road. And JPS had a they issued notice that they were shutting down electricity for Cassia Park Road to do some maintenance work. So I ended up at home. Only praise God for the phone to ring and for the registrar's secretary, sorry, the dean's secretary, to call me and cuss me out. Why is it that I'm not making myself available for her phone calls to tell me that I got through with my receipt and that I was to make my way up to Norman Manley Law School as they were waiting on me to register. So I had to find myself in a taxi to get up to UA, and I will never forget this, because as I entered Norman Manley Law School, all of the students, or many of the students, were in the foyer watching the O.J. Simpson trial, and the verdict was read out. And literally, as I walked through the door, you heard the foreman say, "We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty." Of course, you know, the whole place erupted. It was total chaos for about half an hour. But in that chaos, I was able to get myself connected with the powers that be and get myself registered. And I started classes the next day. It took me 3 years to do a 2-year course because I had to repeat 1 year. But I did graduate in 1998. My first job was legal officer for a development company. Some of you might be familiar with Aventura Apartments, which is on the boulevard right beside Jamaica Baptist Union. I was the one who did the subdivision for all 103 titles. When every time I talk about it, it feels like a lifetime away, because I can't even tell you how to do that now. Completely forget that. But I moved from that job and then went to work at the Kingston and St. Andrew Family Court as a clerk of court. And it was during that time that I met my lovely wife, Carrie Ann. She and I got married in 2002, and in 2003, acting on an opportunity that presented itself, my wife and I made a decision that I would move to the country of Belize while she would go to Texas and do her master's. And interestingly enough, what was originally supposed to be a simple 2-year contract ended up being 11 years of residence in Belize, to the point where if I were to travel back to Belize tomorrow, when immigration would see my documents, they'd say, "Welcome home, Mr. Mason." But yes, from 2003 until 2014, I lived in Belize. Both of my boys were born in Belize. They are both Belizean. My older son still is yet to get his Jamaican citizenship due to certain things that have to be done. But my younger son is both Belizean and Jamaican. We lived there. I went there as a prosecutor, but then ended up in private practice. For the bulk of the time, I was the manager for an offshore offshore company incorporation and trust settlement business. I then went to work for the oldest law firm there. I worked as a development officer for one of the banks there. Also went on my own, and whilst on my own, my wife got the chance to go and work in Turks and Caicos. And as God would have it, I said to her, "Well, if I can't go and if I can't get a job there, I don't want us going." And you know, these resourceful Jamaican women are. She took it on herself to go and find a job being advertised in Turks and Caicos for a lawyer. I didn't think much of it, applied, and would you believe it? 2 months later, I got the job. So I had to lock down my private practice after only 1 year of activity and move the family to Turks and Caicos Islands, where I stayed for 7.5 years. I returned to Jamaica in January of 2022 because both my parents actually, they're now both in their 80s, and my father was finding it increasingly difficult to handle work and my mother being at home by herself. So I took it on myself to sever ties with foreign and move back home. My initial job here when I got back was to work with my father in helping him to manage the business. So over time, he transitioned from full-time businessman to part-time businessman, being able to stay at home and work on the accounts of the business while I managed day-to-day affairs. But from 2019, I had actually applied to the government for the position of parish court judge, which some of you are old enough to remember used to be called resident magistrate. And lo and behold, in 2023, March, not the time frame, 2019 to 2023, in March, I received a phone call indicating that as a Chief Justice had been finished with the Klansman trial, he was now able to begin interviews, and an interview was scheduled for me. I remember it vividly. It was the second to last Tuesday of March 2023, and by the Thursday, I was informed that I had been selected as a parish court judge. My first appointment or my first post was a parish court judge at Halfway Tree Criminal Court. I stayed there for 1 year and 4 months until I was transferred to my current post, which is at the Corporate Area Traffic Court. I enjoy the job. Can't say that I complain about it at all. I'm grateful for the for the position and grateful for the work. It's interesting work. It's a lot of work. In fact, I had to tell Sir Stuart that I would, DP Stuart, that I would have been coming in, joining, but I'd be on the road because when 7 o'clock came around, is when I had just managed to leave court after dealing with all of the administrative things that we have to deal with after court. Court didn't finish until minutes to 5. So these things happen. In terms of me personally, I have a love of cars, which I guess is why I find traffic court interesting. I like to drive. I used to love to travel, but as time went on, because when I was manager of that offshore incorporation and trust settlement company, I traveled quite a bit. So I've had the privilege of traveling to every continent except Africa. I've gone as far as Malaysia. I've visited Malaysia, Thailand, Hong Kong, mainland China, Singapore. Where else have I gone? Russia, Spain, Argentina, Panama, a couple countries in the Caribbean, of course, the US and Canada. I've had the privilege of visiting in my travels, which have all been for work. But nowadays, I very much value my staycations. When I have time off, I stay at home. I will enjoy my time with my boys, even though sometimes they irritate me to no end. Some of you who are fathers will understand. You want to throw them through the window of a moving vehicle, but they are my boys nonetheless. I love them. I still enjoy my music. When I left Turks and Caicos, I was a senior deputy registrar for the Supreme Court there, but my joy was being able to play or do live gigs at restaurants and hotels. I had the privilege of playing at Sandals, at a couple other hotels and restaurants in the Turks and Caicos. So even though because of my current job, I no longer do these things, I still get a chance once in a while to go out and, play here and there, primarily at church. But even though it's a big nutshell that I've put things into, in a nutshell, that is me. So if you have questions, feel free to ask.
Well, thank you, Carlo. Wow, very interesting in terms of the different phases that you have been through, and I just want to thank you for your willingness to just share in your very relaxed style. I can see the lawyer part in it. And I think we could take a few questions from the floor. Let me just ask you one thing first. When you said something about Spanish, I think that was what your first year at UE. So does that mean you can say you can translate a little Spanish or speak a little Spanish?
Todavía yo hablo español.
All right.
So yes, I still speak Spanish till this day.
Okay. And you did say something about oh yes, now when you said you play the violin, so you're a violinist, but you mentioned the music. So is there another aspect to the music other than being a violinist? Because you mentioned a lot of artists who we like. So do you play anything other than the violin?
The only other instrument I have is my voice. I sing as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
I love to sing songs by Nat King Cole. He's actually I would almost say he's my favorite artist. So even though he died 8 years before I was born, I still love his voice. I wish music today would embody the 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 sound that his voice. People like him, people like Tom Jones,
You mentioned Brooke Benton.
Brooke
Who's
Benton,
another one in that like ilk.
right? Even people like Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra. It's so interesting because I'm in my 50s and that music is slightly older than what my generation would have been listening to. My generation would have been listening to Anita Baker and even Madonna. That's who was popular. Lisa Stanfield, that's who was popular when I was in high school. But because of my influence of my father and my mother, my mother was a huge Beatles fan. My father loved his jazz and some classical music. And of course, because of the violin, I had that inclination as well. But because of my father's love of jazz and my mother's love of music from her era, I have never let go of that kind of music.
Okay. No, I said you got frozen a while ago, but I think you look like you're back to normal on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anyone from the floor? As I said, this is not something that we do from a rigorous point of view, but anything that you would like to ask either of Ray J or Carlo, we can take a few questions. So if anyone would like to raise any point also, please go ahead. You can raise your hand from the chat or the user the raise hand facility if you want. I saw a message from Zuri earlier who confessed that he has appeared before this learned magistrate. I guess that's I don't know if it was the traffic court at the time, but whatever it was.
I sincerely hope it was traffic court. It would be very worrying if it were elsewhere.
No, I think he was defending someone. He must have been defending someone, because he's a lawyer as well. But anyway, any other hands are up? No hands are up.
I didn't raise my hand, DP Stroke,
Okay.
but
Sure.
can I just
Sure.
ask Carlo? Well, first let me thank Carlo for what he has said. I've had the privilege of hearing Carlo because Carlo sometimes come to the feeding program that we do at Hanover Street, and I've heard him there performing for some of the residents of down there. So I've heard him with his music before. So I can attest that he's a very good musician. The one thing I want to ask Carlo is that, well, does this time allow him to try and share his musical talents and perhaps teach music to students or anyone like that?
Can I confess that neither of my two children play music? That should tell you how much time I have to be sharing anything. No, the truth is that the current job I have is very demanding, and I do have a desire to be the best at it that I can be. I really, and even though I do like to impart when I can to the younger generation, the truth is, what you call it? Teaching, even though I'm the son of a teacher and I married a teacher, teaching is not so much in my bones, although I do like to help youngsters as much as I can. So it sadly is not in the cards at this time. I'm hoping that at some point it can be, because I think that's part of the problem with Jamaica generally. A lot of us have particular talents, but because of our individual pursuits or circumstances, maybe sometimes imparting it to an upcoming generation or generations proves itself difficulty. I had the privilege of being taught by two of Jamaica's foremost musicians. Many of you are familiar with Paulette Bellamy. She was my first teacher. It's interesting enough because her daughters went to school with my sister. Her son went to school with me. So even though I left her studio and went elsewhere, she still thinks of me as one of her children. And I also had the privilege of being a student of another of Jamaica's morning stars on Karachi Avenue, Faye Enavarabotham. Don't know if any of you know that name. Her husband was for a time the manager at Constant Spring Golf Club. But she was a powerhouse in Jamaican music education. So I really had that privilege. So to answer your question, I believe it's important. I would actually like to do it, but sadly, my current situation does not allow me to do it.
Okay, Chris, that's it.
Yeah, that's fine.
One thing I'd say, Carlo, maybe when we have when we have like a Christmas meeting or some kind of meeting that we want a little entertainment on, maybe I want once or so a year, twice maybe. If you find it within your time frame, we probably might ask you. You can tell us yes or no at the time if you would give us an item. That's probably the most we would want to do on you. Let me ask you this though: is there an aspect of Kiwanis that somebody has a radio on or something? It's causing a little. I don't know if it's radio or TV. Could you turn it off, please? Yeah. Um, is there an aspect of Kiwanis, and I'm gonna ask Ray J the same thing, that you would like to be more involved in and you have not yet been able to? Is there an aspect of Kiwanis that you and let me ask you this too. Is it your father who really got you to join? You could just throw that in.
Literally, when I got to Jamaica from Turks and Caicos, that week my sons and I had contracted COVID, so we ended up being isolated for one whole week and change. However, once I was cleared of that, my father stopped driving, hasn't driven since. So I ended up being his chauffeur everywhere he would go, which of course included the feeding of the poor program at Marie Atkins Shelter. And I remember distinctly the first time I carried him down there. Can't remember who it was, but whomever it was couldn't make it in time to do the devotion. And my father just turned around and looked at me and said, Carlo, just do the devotion for me, no? Yeah. I think I kind of felt like how Jesus must have felt when he was at the wedding with Mary. So
okay.
But I did the devotion. I enjoyed myself that day, and I looked forward to it. sadly, I ended up becoming the chairman for that feeding program, but sadly, my time has gotten excessively busy, and I do regret not being able to be more active in in that feeding program. So I have desire to get back into it at some point. And I can't help but notice Sir Ramdial saying that his daughter plays the violin. So if I'm going to play at one of these functions, please tell her that she has to come and join me.
Okay. You know, interestingly, his daughter was the recipient of, when we did this program, Youth in Excellence,
Yes.
she was one of our awardees. And so some of us have heard her play. Yeah. Okay.
DP Stu, if I may, I had raised my hand.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, yeah, not so much a question, but just a comment. Having heard, thank you both for Ray J and Carlo for sharing their stories. And in hearing Carlo's story, I realized that our paths have crossed many times before. I also went to law school at Caville in Barbados, and I was a president of the JASAC organization down there, so I'm very familiar with it. I went to Campion. I remember much younger Carlo at Campion, but more particularly because I went to school with his sister, Andrea. We called Spongy, I think, was her nickname. So I go way back with him in that regard. So through Campion and law and JASAC, all familiar.
Great.
So yes, and I'm glad that we have rejoined or be reacquainted through Kiwanis Club. So kudos to him, and we have much more to talk about.
Thanks for bringing that up, President. Ray J, just one last question for you, and if anybody from the floor has anything, we'll allow it because and then we can wrap. But I just want to ask Ray J if there is any aspect of the Kiwanis life that, the same question I asked Carlo, that you would like to get more involved in. I mean, I know you're the advisor for our Circle K, but if there's any other aspect that you would like to get involved in that you have not yet been able to, if you could just share that with us. I don't know if you dropped off. Okay, I'm not sure if you're on or if you're just not hearing us. Okay, I think that's about it. No hands are up. Well, let me say thank you. Thank you to Carlo and Ray J. I can follow that up with him. In fact, I'm going to ask him to do the flyer for our games evening next week. You know, that much I'm certainly going to ask him, you know, and then I can take a break. So I just want to say thanks. You know, sometimes when you ask members to do this, not everybody wants to do it, and I'm sure they have different reasons why. So that's not a problem. But I was really happy that you two both agreed, and you know, it has been to our benefit that we have had the pleasure of listening to you both this evening, and we just want to say congrats in terms of what you have done so far, and we just look forward to your continued involvement as a model Kiwanian, as we look forward into the future. So thank you both again. It has been really a pleasure listening to you both. Thank you. Back to you, President Stephen.
Thank you, Chairman DP Stu, and so say all of us. Entertaining, informative, enlightening, all of those adjectives. So thank you again to both our Kiwanians for their sharing in their personal and professional lives. It was good. It was good. I enjoyed it. So I do have next on the agenda Sergeant at Arms, who is supposed, Assistant Secretary Chris, but I'm looking online quickly. I did not see him here.
Your blanket fine, President.
Yes, I will just do a blanket fine. Let me see what is the current thing. All of the Kiwanis Club members who went to church on Sunday and celebrated Easter the right and proper way. We will give you some credit for that, and you would only have to pay a fine of $300 for all of those who were unable to attend church, a fine of $500. So there ends the Sergeant at Arms. I'm now going to move into our notices and announcements, and I'm going to hand over to you, DLG Willie, to share. I mentioned some at the top of the meeting, but you could maybe repeat those or anything else that I missed out in terms of activities over the next couple weeks in Kiwanis.
Thank you, President. In fact, you have made most of the announcements during your opening remarks. But just to remind the club, Jamaica Key Club District Convention this weekend at Monique Teachers College from Friday to Sunday. They register on Friday afternoon and go through Saturday, Friday evening, Saturday into Sunday when they depart. We're hoping to get a strong contingency. Long time we haven't been there. Normally have 3 or 4. We hope we could get at least 7, a good fellowship. I know that Director Andrew is putting together a team. I know that Zuri is going and myself. I'm not quite sure who the others are, but hoping we can put together a team. Go down on Saturday morning, attend some of their open sessions, attend their hosted delegates, and come back in the evening. Just to mention one that President may have not alluded to, there is a flyer going around drawing attention members to the Kiwanis International Blood Drive initiative. For those clubs, Division 23 Central, they're having it at the blood bank at the next door to the Secretariat from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. That is May 3, 2025. If you cannot give blood, fellow Kiwanis, see if any friends or family members will give club. So that's the Secretariat, National Chest Hospital. Reminder again, District Convention, Niagara Falls, Ontario, from May 29 to 31. June the 6th, our annual charity Barbie Fried ticket. Barbie Fried, 11 Fairway Avenue, Kingston 6. Tickets are now available. Cost of tickets is $3,000. Those are the main announcements for now. President, you may want to ask any visiting Kiwanian who may have announced to do so now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, DLG Willie. Yes, as he mentioned, we do have some fellow clubs that are here, and we would like to extend to them an opportunity to share any event or fundraising activity that they want to share with the wider audience at this time. I ask that you open your microphone and just identify what club and what activity. West St. Andrew, anything going on there?
Good evening, President Stephen.
Good evening, Director Crystal. Welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you. The Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay will be having our Easter raffle. Cost per book is $3,000. The draw date is this Thursday at 6 p.m. in Montego Bay at Rada Complex. So if you're in that area, please feel free to stop by. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. That's Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. Is there any other club that has would like to mention any event at this time? Going once, going twice, closed. So on that note, before I wind up, I'm gonna ask, I do see DP Marcel online, always close the meeting with a positive thought. DP Marcel, can I count on you to share with us the thought of the week?
Yes, friends, good night to one and all. Sorry to have joined late, but I caught just the end and it was so interesting. I'm going to look back at it and listen back. Yes. Thought for this evening, for the week. And in fact, these are always guides for your life. While pain is an inevitable part of life, the response to it can either deepen the wounds or contribute to healing. So think about it. Think on these things. As a good friend of mine would say.
All right, thank you, DP Marcel. Pain. There are two sides to any experience. It's what you make out of it.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And to our fellow Kiwanians, I wish everybody all the best. Some of you are still on holidays. If you're having holidays, enjoy those of you who are back at work. So it goes sometimes, but notwithstanding, wish you continued blessings and good health and good wealth. And as we conclude this meeting, I'm going to ask, I've covered everything on my agenda. I'm going to ask you to raise your glasses and let us make a toast to Kiwanis International and Jamaica Land We Love. Cheers. Cheers, cheers. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Safe journey, those who are heading home and those who are at home. May you be safe and warm at this time. Cheers, everybody. Take care. DP Stu, I'm not sure if you're going to have any music. And of course, you're welcome to hang about as you would in a real meeting. And if you'd like to catch up with anybody that you see online, please feel free. Now is the time to interact and have some online fellowship if needs be.
Yeah.